Academy Award-winning film Hacksaw Ridge. He has produced and directed science fiction thriller 222. More recently, Paul has produced Black Light starring Liam Neeson and Ricky Stanicky starring Zac Efron and John Cena. He also provided Australian production services on The King's Daughter starring Pierce Brosnan and Bleeding Steel starring Jackie Chan. Paul won the Screen Directors Association Award of Australia for directing and producing the film One Perfect Day. Rachel Bunno, popular actor from Australia, best known for her multi-season series regular role of Olivia in Home and Away for the 7 Network and ITV UK, Atria 9 in the series Pandora, and the lead role of Ruby Doomas in Ruby Landry telemovie series. Her versatility and talent shine through in every role she undertakes. In the movie Better Man, she plays the role of singer Nicole Appleton, girlfriend of Robbie Williams. Welcome, Paul and Rachel, to the prestigious platform of IFFI.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Better Man is a musical biography of British pop sensation Robbie Williams, one of the greatest entertainers of all time. Under the visionary direction of Michael Gracie, who is best known for his Golden Globe-winning movie The Greatest Showman. The film navigates through Robbie's life, his meteoric rise, dramatic fall, and remarkable resurgence. Uniquely told from Robbie's perspective, this movie captures his signature wit and indomitable spirit, showcasing how he faces and fights challenges that fame and success can bring. Can we have the trailer now? Lights down, please.
I know what you're thinking. What's with the monkey? I'm Robbie Williams. The biggest pop star. Evolved. Risk it all, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
For the next 2 hours, your ass is mine!
Shut up, you tit!
I would request Paul Curry, the producer of Better Man, to deliver his opening remarks.
Well, thank you everyone for coming. And it was very exciting yesterday to share the movie with an Indian audience, and because it is a musical, and it was fascinating to just see the reactions of everyone. So we're really excited to share the movie with India. We love the tradition of Indian filmmaking and the incredible movies that you've made, and we'd love Better Man to hopefully find an audience here for this great story that is a musical. So, yeah.
Thank you. Rachel, please, can you share your thoughts?
I agree with the sentiments of Paul. You know, it was so special to be able to open IFFI yesterday and share it with such a well-received audience. I just learned a few minutes ago that it wasn't just the cinema we were in. There were 3 other cinemas and it was sold out. The idea that people would show up for our Aussie film just means so much to me. And to be able to come here to India for the first time and share work that a lot of people put a lot of work into, it's very, very special. So thank you for having us.
Thank you. Now we can open the floor for questions. Yes, please.
Good. How are you? That's good.
Excuse me, we'll give the mic.
Yeah, very good morning. Yesterday we saw the movie. We feel privileged because we are the early audience to have witnessed the film before its initial theatrical release. It was very good, and even we wish the director would have been in person. But we saw his recorded message where he said this film has been also very much influenced. He acknowledged it has been influenced by most of the Indian films since it's all song based.
Yeah.
I congratulate both of you and the team. It was very success. Just I wanted to know now because the Indian films scenario in recent decade, they are doing without songs or music. It has been calmed down.
Yeah.
Whatever. So at what particular phase you can say it has been influenced in which era of Indian movies to make this one?
Yeah, well, I mean, Michael is best to talk about that being the director. But I know for him, he's a huge fan of musicals all around the world, and India is definitely one of his primary influences. Obviously, you know, the amazing Bollywood films. So, but yeah, I think what we tried to do was to make a musical that has an edge and has an honesty to it. And Robbie Williams is a very colourful rock star, and so he's a rock star that's led a life that's had a lot of highs and lows, and he's had his own issues with depression and a lot of other very human things. So Michael's vision was to always tell this story with an honesty to it. And what was so unique was this digital character. Like, just so as you know, the complexity of this film, it's a very large independent film. And when we told everyone this is the movie and this is the film we're trying to make, people thought we were crazy. Why would anyone try to tell the story of Robbie Williams through a digital monkey? But as we went through, I think what's best about the film is that people just drop in with the monkey and they believe the monkey, and they start to see that the monkey is a version of Rob because the eyes are similar, the face is similar, the mannerisms are similar. So what on a movie of this scale with such an intimate point of view of this is me, I am Robbie Williams, but I don't see myself the way everyone sees me. I am a far more timid creature that feels very isolated. I think that as a vision, as a musical, was very bold, different, and inspired from a lot of other musicals and genres that Michael loves. But ultimately, it was a story about telling Robbie Williams' tale in a way that was honest, truthful, and vulnerable in the world of a digital character, which I don't know has ever been done in the world. I don't think a whole movie has relied on a digital character in such a real, photoreal world. So that was the technological and storytelling achievement of the film.
I want to compliment the choreography whoever are done. Hats off to them. It's a mind-blowing what are the songs and the choreography, and there's a scale what are the implemented with the dances. We don't see that much
in Western films.
Yeah, that was
you do it well.
So it was very, even as I said recently, in past more than decade plus, the Indian films are slowly not coming with the songs or that kind of music.
Yeah.
We back to that same era. We feel like it's very extravagant, and hats off to you also, Rachela. You can also share something of the choreography and music. Thank you.
All of that choreography comes down to Ashley Wallen and his wonderful assistant, Jenny Griffin. They are absolute masterminds at what they do. Seeing them work, I grew up dancing, but I'm in no way a professional dancer. And to watch them work together and see what they could bring to us as the performers, and then knowing what would translate for every single shot that you see. They work so closely with the camera department to ensure that not only was it good choreography or something that was entertaining, it was conveying story, and to make sure that it was telling the story in a very visual way that was working with, particularly I can speak for my sequence or Rock DJ, the sweeping nature of that. They were across every department. It wasn't just choreography. It was making sure that it was a real feast for the eyes and for your hearts. I don't know about you, but I cry every time I watch Rock DJ because it's just phenomenal. So it was a real treat for me to work with people who are at the absolute peak of their talent.
And interestingly, the choreographer was also a camera operator.
Yes.
He knew the moves so well, which I think you guys do part of that as well, which no cameraman could anticipate the musical moves as well as the choreographer. So it was fascinating to watch him be behind the camera directing Rochelle, who, by the way, there's no replacement of anything of Rochelle. She did every bit of that dancing, which when Michael cast Rochelle, we cast her because she was really good in the role and she had the vulnerability and the passion. And she said, oh, yeah, I can do a bit of dancing. And a lot of actors, everyone's an expert dancer when you're an actor. They're good at horse riding, they're good at dancing, they're good at fight sequences. But when you actually come to do it, they're not that good normally. But with Rochelle, she was stunning. She worked really hard on that sequence for months of rehearsal and working with Ashley and Jen. And yeah, every bit of that is Rochelle in that sequence. So it was a huge. We were thrilled at how dedicated she was to being able to give it her all with that sequence.
Normally you do have to lie when someone asks you if you have a skill as an actor. I have lied many times, but this one I knew I didn't have to, which was nice. But clearly I wasn't clear enough that I could dance. Yes.
What was the challenges? Hello. What was the challenges you had to face? You faced from conceptualizing the story and executing it.
Oh my
When it
God!
comes to-
Yeah,
How much time you got?
I can tell you, this movie should never have happened. No one wanted to make this movie. Can you imagine? Michael's idea was, okay, I'm going to make a big, beautiful musical biopic, but with this handsome rock star, and I'm going to turn him into a monkey. And so everyone just thought that was absolutely crazy. So we never had any studio support. So we had to finance the whole movie independently. And we did it with friends, colleagues. Everyone just put themselves on the line because they did believe in the movie. The thing that kept us going through all of the years of trying to make this movie was that it was such a beautiful idea, but executing it was incredibly difficult. We had to do concerts where we didn't have the money to do the concerts. And if anyone that saw the film, the scale of some of those things was massive. So Robbie had to come and run concerts, and we actually charged money to come to his concert. And in the middle of him doing a show, we would do our filming, and people were like, have we paid to see a concert or is this filming? But he ended up, the profits from that invested into the film. And so it really has been a collaboration between Robbie, who loved the story, Michael, who's such a visionary director, and the Australian industry, a lot like the Indian industry, is that everyone gets behind the film. So all our crew, all our cast, people just believed in this vision, and against the odds, it got made. So people go, oh, it's with Paramount now and it's getting a big release around the world. But it didn't start like that. And it's been very challenging. A lot of times we thought, I don't know how we're going to get this done. An interesting story, Rock DJ, we were ready to shoot that. We'd rehearsed 600 extras, paid for everything. We were on Regent Street in London 2 days before we were ready to film, and the Queen passes away. The Queen dies. And so London gets shut down. I'm sure you all heard about the Queen dying, and we were banned from filming. So we lost millions of dollars when we couldn't do that sequence. And we thought, I don't know how we're ever going to raise the money and do that. So it delayed the film by about 12 months, and we had to re-raise all the money again. And the moment we actually shot that sequence was an incredible moment for everyone. So that's just a typical example. It was very challenging the whole way, even with all the visual effects through to the very end. It has not been an easy film at all.
Hi Rachel, I just wanted to ask you how personally you relate yourself with the character which you played in Better Man.
To Nicole Appleton, I think if Nicole and I had anything in common, that would be a huge compliment to me. She's a very impressive woman. Upon getting the audition, I was aware of All Saints, but I wasn't too familiar with each of the women in the band, and so I did quite a bit of research, and I think it was really impressive to see them being all so young when they became famous, and having to watch them. There's a lot of discourse at the moment about how women in the 90s were treated, and seeing them promote themselves as a band, as musicians, but a lot of the time they were very much reduced to their looks or how catty they were, but they always had the last say, and I'd aspire to be someone who has a voice and stands up for myself, and I would hope to be a bit like that. I mean, she was doing it when she was 21. I don't know if I was doing that when I was 21, but she's a very impressive woman, and she definitely wears her heart on her sleeve. I'm definitely guilty of that. So I think that if I can be seen as hardworking and kind as she is, I would be a very happy woman.
And what was your first reaction when you heard the digital character who is playing the Robbie, and you want to share the screen with digital monkey? If you can say. So what was your first reaction when you heard that?
Well, I received the audition, so I live in London, and I received the audition when I woke up. I was laying in bed and read the audition and was like, oh, okay, Nicole. I had no idea how big the role was, so at first I thought I was just going to be a blur in the background. I didn't really know who I was auditioning for. And I was like, okay, Robbie Williams, and I'm a fan, so I understood him. And then right at the end it said, oh, by the way, he will be played as a CGI monkey. And I was just kind of like, what? And then as the day went on, I just remember saying, you know, I don't know why, but I think it'll work. Like, Robbie being this cheeky, real warts and all kind of guy, I thought, in the hands of someone like Michael Gracie, you know, Michael on his Instagram has a quote that says, if you're skating on thin ice, you may as well dance. And he's someone who takes risks. And I just thought, I can't quite visualize it right now. Eventually I saw sketches and things like that. But when I was auditioning, I just thought, I don't know why, but this really could work. Because if it's going to work for anyone, it's going to work for Robbie Williams, because he takes big swings himself. He always has. He's never really played by the rules. So why should his biopic be any different?
And Paul, sir, I just want to ask you one thing. Many Indian cinemas, we do have a superheroes. So obviously, Hollywood have superheroes. We get inspired by them. So what kind of suggestions do you want to give the new makers who is going to make a superhero series in future?
That's a good one. Yeah, I think we need to have more accessible and more broken superheroes. That don't have such amazing superpowers. I think the hero's journey is universal to all of us, and someone aspiring to be better than what their life circumstances are is just very universal, and the power is within, which is really, I know it's very, it's very relevant here. And so, yeah, I just think we should be doing more accessible superhero stories and just bringing it back down to what normal people can relate to.
Which is probably why this story is resonating with so many people. You know, Robbie does on stage seem like a superhero, but really he's a human being who's got just as much anxiety and bouts of depression and insecurity as the rest of us, and that's really what we relate to.
Yeah, and he's he would say this himself. He wasn't the most extraordinary musical genius. You know, he's not Freddie Mercury from Queen, who's this amazing powerhouse singer. He was a guy that's an entertainer and that loved to entertain, yet found that very challenging with his anxiety. And so that was what was good about this. It was a different form of the musical biopic that isn't about a musical genius. It's about someone that grew up and his story influenced his music, and in some ways he never thought he was as good as how everyone thought he was. He saw himself as way less, thus the monkey.
Hello, everybody. This Better Man, we thank for having the film as the opening film for IFFI 50th year, and we thank the selection committee for this film. And it was really marvelous film. And is this film based on a real story of the?
It's very much. It's very much based on.
And I should thank you. We had a couple of years back a Spanish movie as an opening film. Their music and dance was there, but not up to this bar. Better Man touches the dance and music more near to the Indian dance and music, and we congratulate the cameraman, the choreographer, the way they shot the camera, the dance move. It was moving with the speed of the music, with the movements.
Yes.
And it was really a fantastic job the director has done. Thanks to the actress.
Yeah.
And the producer also.
Oh no, thank you. And Michael really is. He is that guy. He loves musicals. That's what he does. If you go and have a look at some of his work, even some of the amazing commercials he's done, they're quite revolutionary. I don't know whether you ever heard, there was big flash mobs, which again I think you guys almost started here way before the rest of the world did. But Michael was famous for some of the biggest ones. He did. I don't know whether you know, Oprah Winfrey had a massive birthday party where there was 30,000 people in Chicago, all flash mobbing, and that was Michael behind it. So, but he's just got a love of music and dance and choreography of shots. So the camera's as choreographed as the dancing in there. So,
how you feel about Indian films as a foreign producers, actors of Indian music?
It's dance? Incredible. Like even last night, you're going, what a show! It's like, if that was done in Australia, we just would not have that kind of pizzazz or musicality to it. It really is amazing. But you tell very diverse stories here. There's such a rich culture, and I was amazed at the lineage of filmmakers that were discussed last night. That was just quite. In Australia, we don't honour our filmmakers quite the same way. We need to do more of what you do here. There's a lot we can learn from that.
We're also such a young country as well, so we don't
in
have
future you may co-produce a film from Indian
film
producers.
I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to.
We hope to see you as a co-producer of Indian film. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Benny, congratulations again on The Better Man. So, Paul used the word the musical genius. So, when we have a movie that straddles so many genres, it's a satire of sorts, it's a musical, it's a semi-biographical movie, and of course, you have a digital monkey at the center of it all. So, in such a movie where the musical genius in question is playing himself, how challenging is it for the rest of the cast to sort of, raise themselves to the idea of maintaining their hold in that scenario, where it's not just a lead actor who's playing the titular role, but the person at the center of it. Does it make it different for the others in the cast?
I think as an actor, something that really gave me a lot of confidence going into it was that Michael Gracie is someone who's incredibly collaborative. Before I'd officially been offered the role, he was very generous with his plans of how he wanted to achieve this. And often as actors, you don't get that sort of invitation to that conversation. So I felt everyone that came to set was very much on the same page. We all knew what film we were making. But Robbie, the monkey, is actually played by Jono Davis. He was in a motion capture suit. You might have seen them, the wetter suits, which is just incredibly technical and very impressive. And the second that I met Jono, I knew that he was the right person to play Robbie. And whenever I think of my Robbie, of when I'm working, I think of Jono and his beautiful face and how expressive he is and how much blood, sweat and tears he put into that. And that really comes down to the people that were brought onto this. The energy comes from up top. And Michael and his whole team, every single person knew what they were walking into. And so we all came knowing what we had to achieve. And that just makes your job really easy. For me, information makes me do my job better because I'm informed. I know what you want or what you need, and I can try and bring that to the table. And so everyone was incredibly collaborative. Jono was such a great leader on set. He works incredibly hard, and I think that he brought the energy of Robbie that's needed. He's a very charismatic, he's a broken man, he's so charming and silly, and that's all in Jono. And he really brought that to the set and gave permission to everyone else to step up to his level. So it's just a real pleasure.
And then with that, the shoot began with Robbie coming out and performing real concerts. So he kind of blessed the production. He did the ending. We shot the ending first, and then we did some of the huge scale where we had 30,000 people. And, you know, he brought all that, and he was part of it. So it was all the voiceover is Robbie, the real Robbie. Singing is a combination, but mainly Robbie. And Jono could sing himself. And then all the beautiful performance of the monkey, that's Jono. And so it was very collaborative and very, as Rochelle said, Michael's methodical way of preparing and making movies it lends itself to what was achieved.
Good morning. With all the technology that is available today, how easy or difficult it is to make a film with a digital character at the center? And do you expect to see more of these kind of characters going forward?
Yeah, it's very difficult because matching reality with a digital character is one of the hardest things. What was also hard about this film is that it was in a very real environment that was gritty. The cameras were loose. There was a lot of thick atmos, and it was Michael wanted a gritty, real world, and to sit this monkey in this very real world. So the bar on that is very, very high. And Weta, who's one of the most amazing visual effects companies, they did Avatar, Lord of the Rings, Planet of the Apes. They've done amazing work. They set up in Australia to actually do this movie, but it was very, very challenging doing a digital character when you're doing concerts. Like we had 54 cameras in the roof and 20 cameras in the concert, a crew of like 400 people to try to capture all of that while the concert's going on. So very challenging, a lot of that kind of work. And to your second part of the question, I think as filmmaking progresses, I think you're going to see more human interpretations of characters that are close to reality but slightly unreal in order to keep pushing the boundaries. But it will get easier. But right now it's a difficult process to make something to cross over the uncanny valley in animation where you don't question it. And that takes a lot of artistry, a lot of work, and hundreds, if not over 1,000 people were involved in the visual effects of this movie. So as years come with AI and other advancements, that is going to get more automated, but it will still, to do it at that level is very challenging.
Thank
you. Paul, I had a question. Bohemian Rhapsody sort of set the benchmark by winning the Oscars and all. So when it comes to creating films like these musicals, where you're talking about a real person and his struggles with different addictions and all these ups and downs in his life, what were the challenges, that would, bring the audience back to the theater to watch Robbie Williams?
Yeah, well, I think it's a great question. I think, audiences want an event film to go to the cinema. I think your family dramas and all sorts of other things, I think, are so good now that we can watch them on our screens at home, and with technology continuing to make that more easy. So I think a movie has to have something special going for it to become a cinema event. And that was what our hope was, is, oh my gosh, what we hope as audience talk about this movie and go, you know what, it sounds crazy, but you've just got to go see it. It is this journey of this amazing rock star told in a completely different way. Because I know Michael was very passionate, and Robbie, that the musical biopic, it's all been done. A lot of it has been done, and we know that genre. So how do you try to put a different spin on it? And this was a spin that was absolutely truthful. When Michael first started interviewing Robbie, they spent like a year and a half just recording. Michael recorded Rob's just talking to him, and he would refer it to himself constantly as, I'm the performing monkey. People got me up on stage like a performing monkey. So he himself had that psychology. So that was where the idea was born. And Michael went, oh my gosh, this is real. And it's a complete twist on that musical biopic. So hopefully, and I hope that audiences respond and they can enjoy the ride and be moved by a non-human character that is trying to become human. So I think that's another interesting idea. And it starts out as a little monkey who feels alone and isolated. So hopefully that allows an audience to connect, and then you go on the ride with that character throughout the movie.
And even Robbie and Michael, they share the same weightage even on the posters. So I wanted to know, were there a little bit of, how much creative freedom did y'all have, when it is dealing with Robbie Williams?
Yeah, no, a great question. Robbie gave Michael total freedom. He wanted him to interpret the film the way he wanted to. Warts and all, he didn't censor anything of it. You can see there's a lot of bad behavior he has in the film. He wanted it to have that truth. He trusted Michael. He'd connected with Michael, and their relationship and trust was the anchor of the whole movie. That's what allowed the movie to really have a strong sense of center that all of us fed off. It was, in producing something, you're hoping that the idea and the elements are solid, and then you build everything around that. And Michael and Robbie were the backbone of the film, and then all the other casts became the tree and the branches that came off that solid trunk relationship. So
They're looking forward to seeing it in the theaters in
hopefully
January.
here.
Hopefully.
Do you think, is it too out there to work for audiences here? What do you think, how would it go here as a theatrical movie? Or no, I think it should be theatrical.
Yes.
Yeah, I heard, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, it's in December. So yeah, we'd love to find the right partner. It is a big theatre experience. So,
And India loves music, so.
yeah, so if anyone wants to come and have a chat, we're open, because India is actually one of the last places we haven't sold. The rest of the world is all being distributed. So so we're very open.
Rachel, I had a question for you. Did you have a chance to, interact with Nicole Appleton? Did you meet her?
I'm actually due to meet her in a couple of days. I was supposed to meet her this coming Monday, but I had a little trip to India that came up last minute, so I had to reschedule. She was very kind in letting me reschedule so I could come and promote the film to India. No, we connected about a month or so ago, just via message, and I really, for nearly 3 years now, have just wanted to express to her how much respect and appreciation I have for her. And it's an interesting thing, playing a real person. I've never done that before, but it was very important to me to try and convey to her that I was coming at this from a place of respect and not trying to exploit her in any way. And I'm sure she knew that she's already been in touch with production and Michael and Simon and Oliver, so she could see what their intentions were, but I wanted her to hear it from me. So I did say to her that I have a lot of appreciation for her, and I hope I get to express that. I know she's coming to our London premiere, but it'll be nice that we can sit down and have a one-on-one, gal to gal, and me to be able to just nod my head at her and go, I don't know your whole story, but I just want you to know the small part that I've represented. I hope that she's happy with it, and I hope she's comfortable with how I've portrayed her. But really, it's more of just an expression of deep respect that I hope to convey.
Also, Rachel, this is a real life person, and there are challenges to portraying her on screen. So, did you choose to like toe the line of the script, or did you use your creative liberty to bring in additional elements to this character? How did you go about it?
I think in preparation, as I said, I'm based at the moment in London, and so my preparation was primarily done there. So I was away from Michael and Simon and Oliver, and so I really just tried to dive into as much information as possible. I was able to get my hands on Nicole and her sister Natalie's book. They wrote it in, I think it was 2002. It's called Together, and it was a biography of their life and career up until that point. And so that really gave me Nicole's inner monologue and how she felt at this time, and it covered that period, and that was really insightful to me, as well as watching the numerous videos and interviews, and there was like a small documentary I found, and trying to just take in as much of her through osmosis, so that by the time I did arrive on set and in rehearsals, it being a part of that collaborative environment, I could bring that information to the forefront. But from the get-go, it was made clear to me by Simon, Michael, and Oliver that they really wanted Nicole to feel like her own person. Often in biopics about male musicians, women are a mere footnote in their story, and they're just to support them. But they really wanted to make sure that Nicole had her own story, her own life, and her own dreams, which you can see in the film. She's very much living her own life, and they wanted her to have her own voice. And this film deals with a particularly traumatic part of her life, and they wanted to make sure that her voice wasn't silenced in that. So it felt like a very warm environment and very creatively collaborative. So I was able to bring my information and partner it with the information they'd been given by Nicole. And I felt like then we had a nice middle ground to work with from an honest place, but also a creative place.
Yeah, just to Paul and just I want to share one thoughts. When it comes to choreography or dancers, in anywhere part of the world, we have never heard for action scenes or stunts, there is stunts double. But when it comes to dance and choreography, we have never heard there is a dance double.
Oh.
Who does that, whether they are trained or, I mean, basically they are dancers, or for the film they get trained. We always have a huge compliments who are perform dance, because there is no dance double. And
it's not the same in Western films. We often have
Yeah.
doubles. Not you guys do that incredibly well. Like, that's what was so unique. Normally, we thought with Nicole we will probably have to have a dance double for certain shots and then face replace them and things like that. We do that a lot with action and all sorts of things, digital doubles and but no, that was absolutely authentic, the Indian way, I'll say.
So to end, I mean, from my side, one thing I need to share. Even on Indian cinema, we had a huge influence of Mel Gibson's first Mad Max.
Oh yeah.
For a long time, whenever the film used to think, at that time we used to think everything is made in US, Hollywood. But later on, as evolved, we came to know it was an Australian movie. So Mad Max is one of the best action film which had huge influence on Indian filmmakers also.
That's great.
Yeah, that I wanted to share.
That's great. Yeah, George Miller, the director of that, and Mel, who, I did Hacksaw Ridge with Mel, and he is an amazing filmmaker. I mean, that guy made Braveheart. Like, that's a pretty phenomenal film. But both of them were Australians, and they kind of grew up inspiring all of us with the kind of movies that you could make. So, and they're still going strong. Mel's making his own movies, acting in them. George Miller just made another Mad Max all these years on. So they're great filmmakers and good people too, nice people.
Any more questions?
Thank you for everyone's time.
I thank Paul and Rachel for their participation today. We look forward to more of your cinematic brilliance in the coming future and continued presence at IFFI. Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
me. Thank you.
Oh my God, the technology to turn it around. Oh, wow.
Oh, yes. Thank you.
Sign on the top.
Oh, of course. Thank you. Is there anywhere particularly you'd like me to sign? Okay. Sorry, left-handed.